So now we get into trying to visualize how the segmentation research study can be done. So we have completed, in this slide, we have completed all the 7 steps of conducting a consumer research. Now we are trying to check different facets of consumer research. So one such research is a segmentation research study. Here the study is done for the purpose of developing a segmentation. The primary objective is that I want to evolve my segmentation. So marketing manager who wish to decide this and he has to create the segmentation strategy, etc., will have to conduct this kind of a research. So suppose if it is for the toothpaste that he wants to create a segmentation, he would first collect the secondary data. So that is the number of people, number of household, number of toothpaste that is being sold, used, etc., by the household, etc. And this secondary data will give him some perspective. Then he has to get into the specific of the boundaries of the toothpaste market that they want to consider, whether he wants to look at all types of paste or only gel paste or herbal or non-herbal. So that he has to fix up. Okay, I will do this study within this kind of a people, any and everybody using this or only my brand, etc. So those are the boundaries as we call in the research methodology. So this is how, as we say, the segmentation research proceeds. They might then decide to conduct a qualitative study. So qualitative study is like the earlier part gave you a lot of idea about quantification. But however, there are aspects which needs a qualitative answer. So you may have to do the qualitative research also. Qualitative research may look at different area. Like here it has been mentioned, the need dissections or the motivation, the perceptions, what is their latent needs, etc. So that is the need determination, benefit sought, etc. Attitude towards the brand. Okay. So here the example, coffee drinking in general or towards a specific brand of coffee, etc. So these are those qualitative aspects of the research. You may have to conduct 2 different research for understanding your segment better. The marketing manager may then want to conduct a quantitative study to confirm the hard numbers. So even after the first phase, the first 2 phase, now there may be a stage where you want to put up a hard number, hard number of the demand, hard number of the decision makers that you want to see, what people of customers are going to buy your product when you launch it, etc. So those are those hard facts for which again you may need a quantitative marketing research being done. Okay. Now we come to development of a motivational research. So that's another format of a consumer research. How do you gauge the motivation? How do you get the motivation? We have studied the importance of motivation earlier. Marketing research is up to this time has focused on what consumers did. Okay, that is quantitative, descriptive studies rather than why they did. And so far, whatever the quantitative or descriptive studies, etc., and that has been done. So what customer did, why they did specific thing is not been answered. So consumer behavior understanding offers various surprising explanations. When you do this, why they did this type of a study, lot of revelations comes to your mind. So that revelations will enable you that you have to have certain aspects conveyed. So like for example, the example out here is people, the cigarette smoking was once upon a time a very fed, across, and it has drawn so many people towards it because it was deep rooted in the sex. What was believed that the cigarette smokers are a macho, cool, sexy breed. So you see how this whole thing has led people to get into smoking. And so that one trigger was sufficient. So that's a motivation study. What motivates the people? What triggers the stimulation? What stimulates the involvement or encouragement to get connected with your product or the brand? So this why they did it kind of a study when it is done, that's a motivational research study, so to say. Okay. Motivational research study definitely therefore uses a very psychological or clinical approach. We took this aspect but we did not get much into it because they have to focus on pulling out emotional aspects. They have to read the mind. Therefore it has to go in a very clinical manner, has to be handled by the professional, and professional only can unearth the mind of the respondent. And then overall, after meeting few people, this professional is able to give you what exactly motivates individual. So psychological methods such as the non-directive or the depth interview and the projective techniques, what we have earlier discussed, are the tool which helps you to get the motivational level or motivation trigger understood from among your segments. So that's a development of the motivation research study. How does it go about? The data, the methodology and the analysis. Data generated by this technique provides insights into the underlying reasons why consumers buy or do not buy your product. So why they did it, remember it comes from there. So at the end you will come to know why they did it or why they did not did it, that, so why they bought your product, why they did not buy your product. For example, in trying to discover why women bought traditional roach sprays rather than a brand of roach killer sold in the little plastic tray, researchers asked women to draw a picture of cockroaches and write story about their sketches. So what came out was that cockroaches symbolizes men who had left them, feeling poor and powerless. Killing the cockroaches with a spray and watching them turn upward and die allowed the women to express their hostility towards the men and have a greater control over the cockroaches. So see that startling revelation, why they did. So there was a study done by one of that cockroach killer spray guy who did this. Why the preference towards the spray is growing vis-a-vis earlier product wherein there was some this thing given and there is some glue or something is there and it has supposed to attract the cockroach, and when cockroach comes in they get glued to it. That was a traditional days of a way to handle the cockroaches menace. But this research revealed among women means they felt power by discovering that or by conveying that, especially among the women who were say like a divorcee or who were overpowered by their husband, etc. They were expressing a joy of seeing the cockroach die as the men they hate die. And how the guy turns turtles and suffers when the spray is put on a cockroach. They were enjoying that part because they felt that they took a revenge. They have a control over the cockroach. So see how this, so that's what you then see that most of the ads will come out saying that, the lady spraying and the cockroach turning turtle and dying immediately, etc. So those kind of motivator, this thing is inserted even in the communication, so that the communication is supposed to have that larger impact. Okay. Selective product personality profiles uncovered by motivation research. So here I'm just trying to give you an idea. In the book, there are many such things. So banking or the baking, I say baking evokes pleasant nostalgic memories of an odor spreading in house while a mother is baking. A woman is subconsciously and symbolically going through the act of giving birth when baking a cake, and the most fertile moment occurs when the baked product is pulled out of the oven. So you see how the baking condition is linked with the baby products. So baking is supposed to, while it is happening, the aroma, the feeling, nostalgia, etc. So that they have linked with the fertile moment occurring, and then the birth of a baby is shown equivalent to pulling out of the cake. Similarly, there are other, this thing is given. I'm not say getting into explaining them one by one, but it's like a product personality profile uncovered by motivation research. What is motivating an individual in his mind or in his subconscious mind, etc. If it is read well, then you are able to use them for not only the product development, the promotion, as I told you, the marketing, communication, etc. Will become more relevant and therefore will become more effective. Okay. What are the limitations of the motivational research? If one has to really understand, because of the intensive nature of a qualitative research, it's a very intensive research. Samples are small in number, thus there is a concern about generalization. Such research, you do not get large number of people. Okay. And market research is nothing but generalizing from the sample. So what you study or what you understand from the few people, you are supposed to generalize as to be true for the entire population. So can it happen? with the small number of samples. That is the one biggest limitation of the motivation research. The analysis of the projective test, if you have used in the motivation research, and in-depth interview are highly subjective. The same data given to 3 different analysts. So now look at the scenario. You're using a projective technique, you have collected the data, or say in-depth interview, the recording and all video capturing has been done. Try and giving it to the 3 different professionals. What it says that you may come out with 3 different perspectives. So if that is a limitation, it's a very serious limitation. So it depends on the eyes of the evaluator, how he looks at. Now that depends on his background, etc. So finding a evaluator with a sound mind, balanced mind is also a challenge in the motivational research.